Welcome to the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is knowledge sharing, mentoring, and networking. Time and again, we bring in world class speakers and business leaders across the world in the field of financial markets and entrepreneurship and conduct various programs, webinars, and conferences in different formats. Treasury Elite Leadership Series is one such format where we learn from industry thought leaders about their experiences of running their businesses, opportunities and challenges they encounter, and broad global trends they see in the future. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO of IFA Global and Treasury Elite. We bring in one stop treasury and FX solutions for companies across India over the last 16 years. And today we have Mr. Shelu Tipparaju,
Pleased to be here.
an active serial entrepreneur with the focus on education industry, a technologist and an executive coach. He has been a founding member of several education technology companies from concept to scale before successful exits that have generated an enterprise value of more than $500 million in less than a decade. Shelu is the Chief Innovation Officer at Examity, one of the world's leading online proctoring organization. As the CIO at Examity Venture Capital at Dallas Venture Partners and a vice chairman at Atal Balachandran Great Lakes Incubation, Shelu has helped foster entrepreneurship by mentoring, investing, and advising over 50 startup enterprises. Welcome, Shelu. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Abhishek. It's a pleasure to be here, and things are bright and warm and sunny in Chicago.
Glad to have you today as a part of Treasury Elite
Likewise.
Leadership Series. In the next few minutes, would love to learn from your experiences and the latest trends in the education, technology, and the VC space. Shelu, my first question to you is I think one common thread which I could link with a lot of global CEOs would be that they are just not doing this for the money. What keeps you excited every morning and get to work? Or if I may ask, what is your why?
I think that's a fantastic why that drives every one of us in each of our journeys. Money is a social construct. I think it's a metric to see is what you're doing measured in a way that's visible. The why for most part of entrepreneurial journeys, especially, and in my case as a teacher entrepreneur in the edu space, the why is the mind space and heart space of people more than the purse. The heart space and mind space in our world is the curiosity that we have in our journeys of rediscovering our own new opportunities and talents and skills and intent. We look for that in the next generation. We look for what we learn from other generations that have given us that value over several centuries and say, are we enriching the hearts and minds of the next generation? Are we enriching the next entrepreneurial generation? Are we valuing the traditions that have been created over the centuries? I think in my personal experience, the why is just these businesses that are being created are an expression of teaching at scale. I think personally driven that teachers are always supposed to be, if you can't do teach, in the new age, ed tech as they call it, we do, we teach, we actively engage. And for me, the startups have become enterprises multiple times over. You cannot experience the same amount of excitement unless you engage that with further entrepreneurs, give them those basics, give them those frameworks, and add value in the end to the consumer and the customer. As long as we are adding value in that area, which is the primary why, it's about value creation. The wealth generation is a automatic effect if you do it with purpose. And in my case, the more students are engaged and thinking as, should I take the path of least resistance or should I take the path of most challenges and opportunities? just telling people where the balance is and the continuum is where my why is. And I think it will be an iterative, we cannot relive the experience of the same thing. So it's almost updating or upgrading our own minds as we enrich others.
That's a lovely why that you explained, and the purpose is so clear, Shalu. My next question to you is: Indian startups, recently had raised close to around 7.8 billion in the
Mhm.
first 4 months of 2021, with an average funding size of around 25 million against 15 million last year. So it's a pretty exciting space for the VC and the private equity space, and especially in the education tech also.
Indeed.
So where are we moving? Are we moving from a venture capital to a growth stage private equities? And how do you see the entire education technology space evolving?
The word education technology converted to edtech and all the surrounding buzz around this is exciting. It's certainly thrilling for folks in the industry like I am. I think we need to look at the industry and see where is the stage of Indian progress right now from an ecosystem of entrepreneurship in this space. I'll speak for the education sector, knowing that the overall sector is very fruitful and it is growing right now. Is the excitement is high in venture capital to growth equity. I would personally, and this is my opinion, is we are still in the adventure capital stage, not the venture capital to growth equity, because in this particular space, things have moved much faster than other industries that have matured over time. Investments have come over time, growth has come over time. We have seen a sudden surge, almost to a point it feels like an adventure capital, where everyone is looking to the potential and the scale of market size, both on the consumer size and the options of the TAM and SAM in what is possible from kindergarten all the way through continuous assessment learning. We are seeing the trajectory go up and further up. Where I think it will be incredibly useful is the seasoned ecosystems that have done it in other industries have to pay attention and apply those best practices here, where there's two areas that we need to watch for. It is awesome. It is very similar to cricket, where hype can overtake value and valuations can overtake value. So we just have to balance and say, yes, it is awesome and exciting. Probably the best space to be. I have been in this space for little over 2 decades. Some people have been there little over 2 weeks, and everyone says this is the best space to be. And from that depth of experience, I'll tell you that the market positioning is ripe and rich because there's a new intent in learning, there's a new attention in learning. For the entrepreneurs, my 2 cents of advice would be before we chase for investments, make sure that the value creation exists, not in the spreadsheets, but in your real solutions, in the solution delivery, in the long term sustenance, in your structure of frameworks of delivery. When you bring these, I think those investments will be usefully done, right? When you put money with a good idea and framework that is well spent, and your intent is actually taking action. If money comes before the frameworks, all you're doing is fancy furniture and inspiring posters in your walls, but that won't add value to the ecosystem. While that is required, and I have one too many of my own, we want to make sure that this ecosystem is nurtured properly. And to your question of where is the hockey puck going, we have to make sure that the overlap of solutions should not happen to such a fact that it becomes a commodity, because education is very precious for the Indian ecosystem. From the Takshashila University to the Byju's, we have had several thousands of years of evolution, and all of it can't be pocketed into a watershed moment of 3 4 years. So let's make sure that what we did many thousands of years ago, let's reapply those foundational principles. That is the reason that has lasted this long as a brand. We are a powerful brand. We need to watch that brand for the next not just 10 years, but 20, 30, 40, 50 years going forward.
Out of curiosity, I was slightly going off, but I was discussing with my daughters last week, and every time we prepared them that after graduation or during graduation, they have to fly to the US for their further
Hmm.
studies. And after the recent companies which have come up and who are giving these programs with the world's best universities, do you think that we are seeing a structural shift in the next 10, 15 years? People would not typically travel to UK, US for further education? Or is it the campus excitement is going to be still there?
No, that's one of the best questions in every parent's mind as to where should my child be educated and where should their career progression happen. I think it's all about exploration of where the richest ecosystems are. 2 decades ago, 25, when I was coming out of school, that dates me. This was the opportunity that was most exciting and probably the most single alternative on fear of missing out, where everyone was doing that thing. And now the exploration of opportunities has opened up much more. We see kids of yours coming out of school, planning their undergraduate, also planning entrepreneurship journeys very, very early. That means they don't have to fly to a location per se, but have to experience multitude of environments, because geography, as this 1 year has proven, is history now. We can be anywhere doing anything, adding value for anyone across the globe. So my advice would be, as they're pursuing their entry into education, entry into careers, focus on exploration of environments, understanding multitude of cultures, multitude of domains. That way you can make conscious choices of what thrills you most in the ecosystem and the value, because you need to sustain a little longer in a career to make a dramatic or meaningful impact. So back to your question, that's in your mind and many parents' mind is, prepare them to explore multiple things and not a one-way street. It's not like you move to a place, you settle in, you get the paperwork, and write to school uh, or write to home every decade and miss it. Be like a banyan tree where the roots and the shoots are so intercombined. I, for example, experience multiple geographies. I expect my children to experience those, not decide what career they will pursue, as long as they are married to the evolution of ecosystems, and exploring would be the way to think about it in the new gen. So if they move to US to a good university, or Australia or Middle East to study, or Europe, there's so many universities now that let you do global programs. They can actually sit at home and join a university that operates in three geographies. I was talking to a dean the other day. They operate in three different countries for one single program, that is an analytics MBA program. So education systems have now brought right to your desktop. What a fantastic opportunity. Previously, we used to get on a bus and go 15 hours to write a single TOEFL exam to prove that we can spell English and write English to get a visa. Now everything is happening online. Our own company, Examity, that had initiated, can execute exams sitting at your desktop and taking exams. So that is what the next generation has to look at. The tools they have at their disposal that you and I did not have in our early parts, they have to use it to their best advantage to explore.
Right. Interesting. Shalu, you must have had your share of ups and downs over the last many years. I would love to know a little bit about your major milestones and learnings in your entrepreneurial journey.
Looking back at history is always written by the victors. So we try many things, we hit many corners. There's been a series of successful outcomes, part fortune, part timing, part I timed the area, but I've been relentless and single focused in one domain where depth was more important before scale and scope. This is an interesting triangle of depth, scale, and scope. People always chase scaling and scoping of what to do before the depth is taken care of. The problem is very similar to bamboo trees. They take 4 years to grow 4 feet. and then grow to 100 the fifth year. So where have they been growing? They have been growing underneath the earth. And I think that's what I have seen, that any idea that I have spent longer time has yielded better results, but it doesn't have enough to show in the first few years. If that is a formula applied to me, I'd say the milestones have been, the first outcome was working with Bain Capital, where they were a customer and later an acquirer of the solution. And that was in education. My professional career was in corporate learning and development. So that was foundationally done of close to 8 years of work before I knew what the space would look like, and then stepped into the space. So it wasn't a let me start something and see if this works or not. There was enough depth in there to scope out the possible options and scale it up after it was successful. So that was the first outcome. Success is very seductive. I think between entrepreneurship and serial entrepreneurs have a far more risk. I'll tell you why. One, there's an expectation from the market that they would obviously succeed every single time because they have demonstrated success. So the hype around their success is high. Their own success creates mirrors of reflection that says, well, you cannot do wrong anymore. So that puts you at a far more trajectory of possible wrong decisions. And third is, I think we are drawn to things that we don't do before as a way to prove it that we can do other things as well. So the self challenge, the seduction of success that I have done it before, and the expectation of market that's fanning the flames of you are the most amazing person. I think all of this contribute to what I've found, having done it more than 5 times, is the recipe, as long as it's grounded, the earth should always, I mean, trees do not grow on the skies. You have to always remain grounded. And if you want to touch the skies, keep the fire and water in balance and air in the middle. If you just look at nature, this recipe doesn't change by the domain or the scale of the company or the number of people or the number of customers. Nature is very, very fundamental. And I have grounded myself to those learnings early and stuck with one area that I know well, which is I'm able to understand a domain, research the domain before we even create something and try to find the first proverbial customer. And second part of it is this mythical unicorn hunt of everyone. Start with corn that grows on the ground. Start with popcorn revenues that actually give nourishment. There are so many corns to chase before the mythical unicorn. And I think we start with, I want to create an ABC of something. The next guy in India also is trying to create the next Byju's. And I'm saying Byju's is already there. Don't create the next one. Think of something different. Create the next thing that's not spelt yet. 5 years ago, we didn't know what Byju's is, and now we all do. So I have always said, don't recreate what exists. Create something that's refreshing. And I have seen that every time I've done something refreshing, it has worked. To your question that I've avoided conveniently is the setbacks. Everything I have navigated to something that already was successful, it already succeeded, but it wasn't as exciting. So I think in your success, if you find the failures and nitpick on your own performances, I'll tell you, Tendulkar will tell you 10 wrong things about his 100th 100. So that is, I think, what defines geniuses, where they're looking for the failures in their success. And that's what makes you better. So even in the many exits I had, I find 10 ways I could have done it differently if you give me back my 15 years.
Correct.
Give it time.
Correct. You have 2 sons. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Dhanush and Ankush.
Dhanush and Ankush. What message would you like to give them for the next 20 years?
So my advice to both of them is, don't just follow your heart, follow the heart of the society, because that is where the real happiness is. If you just follow your heart, you may be alone. But if you follow the heart of society, care for others, treat them with respect, respect elders, and maybe remember the Indian pledge, which is, by the way, pretty awesome. If that would be their mission statement, they'd be successful in personal life and professional life and make better people of themselves and people around them. And that applies to not just Dhanush and Ankush, That applies to any child of this age for the next not 20, but the rest of their generations to come. These foundational values will still last.
So, so rightly said. I think the concept of shared values and the concept of giving back to the society and taking everybody along. I think time and again this has been told, but often we start talking about I and then it gets dissolved. But Shalu, your thoughts on young entrepreneurs, your thoughts on society. I personally learned a lot during our conversation.